welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast episode number 34. Today I have Messie Henson. I think your full name is right. And you used to be a Team Singapore athlete. I Googled you, and the more I Googled you, the more interesting and the more big the rabbit hole was. And currently,
I'm sorry, man. I apologize.
You have a pet business at the moment. You are a Grammy nominated hip hop producer. You are very good cycling. If you wanted, you just briefly introduce yourself before you get deep into this.
Yeah, hi. My name is Messie Henson. I'm 44 this year. I really like cycling. As Martin said, I have a lot of crazy stuff that I've done throughout my life. I have a bit of a history. It's really interesting because I've never thought of doing this again. You know, I really didn't want to get into. I used to do magazines, interviews, newspapers, especially back in the day.
Being interviewed by magazines and newspapers.
By magazines, newspapers, film as well.
Yep.
Super thrown into that world because, you know, like what social media does today, like back in our days.
Yep.
That's how we got up. Right?
Yeah, and it was printed down. It was printed and recorded, and
so actually, honestly, right, when you first approached me, I was like, I want to do this, and no, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that I came here. Your energy, firstly, I really like your energy.
Cool.
So that to me is really important. So thanks for that first. Other than that, I think will it be nice for myself as well to try and remember my past, and it's like, okay, maybe I should write a little bit of a tiny book.
I've had guests say that to me before. They said, "Oh, thanks for that. It was really a good trip down memory lane," because they sort of talk about where they came from and then the first race and that sort of stuff. And it's actually quite interesting to hear the stories of all you guys out there, right? So I looked up you on LinkedIn.
Right? I haven't. Sorry. Firstly, I haven't accessed my LinkedIn for I think 4 years.
Okay, that's fine. It's still current. It talks about Hello Human is your current job, right? Hello Human shop. And then it talks about you come from the School of Hard Knocks, okay? Then you used to work as a chief executive officer, and you used to work at Harvard, also as a creative. And then before that, you were sort of bouncing around as a creative as well as in the fashion industry. And then before that, all goes all the way back to when you were a designer and all the way back to your music producing days, right?
So when you really look and you scan through LinkedIn and you look at all that, right? The first parts all kind of make sense, and everything else goes like, this guy doesn't have a job.
Well, it's like it's really like you have like chapter 1, the early days, and then chapter 2 is your creative days, and then chapter 3 is your almost like advertising days. Now you're in chapter 4 because it's not a linear progression between in your life, right?
I think my whole life has been kind of like that.
Yeah. And I think the most interesting people in the world are like that. If you got out of, you went to school and you did accounting, and then you became an account executive, and then you became a junior manager and became an executive president, and then you became the accounts manager. It's a bit vanilla, right? Yeah, so anyway, go back to School of Hard Knocks, right? You dropped out of school when you're 13. What the heck?
You say 12?
12, even better. Okay.
12. So basically it was PSLE. In Singapore, we do like PSLE, right? 12.
My son did that a few years ago.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
I had like the worst scores.
Okay. Oh, that was back when they published all the scores as well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I managed to get into the second worst secondary school.
Okay. Don't need to name names.
Yeah, but filled with like secret society members.
Yeah.
Right? And I stepped in that school for the first week, and I decided, it's not for me. I decided to just, my dad, which was really cool, he was very supportive of me. I guess I was also very rebellious. So you either support me or, go off and do something stupid.
Yeah.
And I just decided, I'm just going to take sabbatical at 12 years old, at 13 years old.
So what's the life of a 13-year-old when you're not going to school? So I guess from there you sort of worked your way into the music industry, but how did you get from one point to the other?
So I'm 13, right? And I'm not Chinese, I'm not Malay, I'm not Indian, I'm actually like mixed.
Yeah. And I'm like ridiculously English. As Rochef, I think it is so wide.
My great-grandparents, so my father is from JB, Chinese from JB, okay? My mother's side is Penang Eurasian, and that is my grandparents are both Eurasian, and their parents are both Eurasian, and their parents are both Eurasian, right? So like I'm 1/64th Spanish, and then I'm one, that sort of thing, right? So I totally understand that.
Yeah, I mean, and when you grew up in that culture, right, where people don't really know who you are, kind of like, bro, are you like Chinese or you like Malay? Or actually, I'm not. I'm like Eurasian, just mixed. So it's kind of interesting because I get accepted.
Yeah, right. But the funny thing is, when I was growing up, I was in Australia.
Yeah,
right.
So in Australia, everyone considered me to be the Asian boy, right? That one of the Asian kids, and there's only like 10 Asian kids in my school year, and I'm one of the Asian kids. And then I come to Singapore and live in Singapore, and then I'm the Aussie, right? So over there, I'm considered the Asian. Over here, I'm considered the Aussie. So it's like, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, and coming from, especially where I grew up, right? A lot of people look at me and go, hey, maybe this guy's grew up with a silver spoon as well. Things like that. But actually not. Like, I grew up really, really ghetto. I grew up really ghetto.
Yep.
Like people coming to the house,
Like Heartlands,
like owe money, pay money, that shit. I grew up with that. So when you grow up in that space at home, you don't really want to be at home much. So I spend a lot of my time actually not being at home. I only use the home to sleep, and most of the time I'll be out under the blocks. We had no social back then, no real like sportsmanship like we have now. You have kids like with mountain bikes and rollerblades and skateboards.
Yeah,
you would call us like HDB gangs, right? The HDB gangs. So that's kind of where I grew up. Like that's my school of hard knocks. I matured really quickly there because a lot of the guys were a lot more older than me.
Yeah.
And you want to fit in and stuff like that. So that's
it almost comes like a second family to you, right?
It is. Yeah. It was, especially some of those guys I'm still really, really close friends with. We shared a lot of things. And for me, it was just, that's kind of where I learned a lot of stuff. Like, if you take someone, you just throw them somewhere, they have to figure shit out.
Sink or swim.
I kind of figured that shit out. That's kind of, I also feel probably where I got my business acumen from. I didn't have to
hustling, right?
It was like hustling, kind of understanding, okay, what works, what doesn't work, how do people accept you and stuff like that. All these things started to kind of like, I was always asking myself like my own awareness and how it grew.
It grew from big with these kids. And then hectic, like
it grew from big progresses into like a real gang. So you're not just kids sitting on the block going, hey, what are you looking at? This is our place where you have like other guys coming in and they go, hey, do you want to be part of this bigger type thing? It's kind of like a bit like cycling. Right?
You're around other people and then
bicycle, right? And you're like, you think you're pretty hard, you're pretty cool and all that. And then you get into your first real group, right? With some pretty heavy hitters and you go, oh shit.
Yeah, you dropped.
This is a different world, man, and then you either disappear from there or you go to a space that you're more comfortable or you try to fit in. And this kind of where my life has always been. It's always been, how do I fit in when I don't naturally fit in? I think I learned a lot of skills from that. I had a lot of opportunities open for me. So that's most of my time was spent on two things. Under the blocks, HDB blocks, kids in the coffee shop. It's the same thing. And at home, when I did have time at home, other than sleeping, on the internet.
Okay.
In the early days of the internet, like YouTube early days, right? And the ability to I think I was one of I mean, my parents weren't well to do, but well enough where they knew if they give me that computer, hopefully I was still.
Distract you enough to keep. It
didn't really work.
But
what it gave me is so I was maybe one of out of all my friends that had the first computer. I just stumbled into this world of hey, you ask this box anything, and it'll give you an answer.
It's like the old encyclopedias, right?
How do I do this? And it'll just give you an answer. I just realized, hey, this is like going to school. But exactly, but the topics that I want to learn.
It's like Montessori school. You just stick with the stuff that you want to learn. So is that how you got interested in music? You sort of found out about it, and then you sort of learnt about it, and just jumped into that rabbit hole.
I mean, it was actually music at first. It was actually fashion, branding. It's then you looking at skateboarding, then you got skateboard brands. Then I started thinking to myself so this is interesting. people started skateboarding, started making a brand, and now they own a multi-million-dollar business.
And skateboarding is one of those crazy. You're either considered to be part of the underground, or you're a seller, right?
Yes.
Once you become successful, the purists think, this guy's sold out, right? Jason Lee and these sort of guys that have become successful, and like Bam, what's that, Bam Margarita?
Yeah, Bam Margarita.
Yeah. These guys have become successful, and of course, once you become successful, you want to make money, right? But then the purists are sort of all start pulling them down, right? So to navigate that whole skate culture, I guess it is, it's really difficult, right?
That's tough.
You got to balance that, right?
What that opened up for me, right, was the ability to like, you could actually make a living with the things that you love.
Yeah.
And that's like when I understood that really young. And that kind of helped me a lot. It's like, and then that plus a little bit of insanity, right, to take the risk, helped me out with launching my first brand.
Yep.
And then after that, once I got into that brand world and started realizing like, hey, this is you could actually do this. Like, I'm making a little bit of money here.
Yeah.
It's like somebody actually wants to buy a t-shirt. Like,
Yeah.
and it starts changing and kind of like disrupting your reality.
Yep. It's so refreshing to hear that, because the stereotypical Singapore story is you go to school, you go to tuition, you go to taekwondo, you do violin, you try to get the best grades you can to get in PSLE, to get the best high school you can get to. Once you get to the best high school, then you can get into, it opens the doors to university, then you go to university, you come back to Singapore, you work, and 65, you get your CPF, and then that's it, right?
Yeah, that's the toolkit.
That is the Singapore story, right? Playbook, right? There's no professional sportsmen. There's very few professional musicians and performing arts. It's just the world is business and academics. But you are successful, but you didn't come from that same path, right? Which is
I'm lucky.
well, it's luck. What do they say? Luck is opportunity and timing, or hard work and opportunity, or something like that, right? So, so then you're in the world of hip hop. Is that
from fashion?
Yep.
That's where a lot of these, especially back in the day, the up and coming hip hop stars.
Yep.
They were all into like, I want to get fashion that you can't get anywhere else, like not in the States. So I was this small brand in the country that most of them didn't even know.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
I think it's part of
Singapore,
China, right?
Yeah, it's like, are you China? Are you Malaysia? Now we're like Wanahor, everybody knows. Back in the day, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But it kind of played into my branding and everything I was building.
Yep.
And so
you're super niche because of the location, because of who you are,
and niche. But another Asian country that was niche as well in fashion is Japan.
Yep.
But Japan, they couldn't really communicate with the rappers that were going there. We want to.
Oh yeah, they just open them up and got it. Yeah.
So I became like the
middleman,
or the tapao version of Japan.
Yep.
And it works really well.
Yeah. So the underground culture, the sort of the street brands, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And these rappers, they want to have like exclusive stuff. Oh, I'm going to perform in Chicago here. Can you get me like a full get up that nobody else can get?
Yeah. And
that's how we actually built the brand off the backs of a number of rappers that way.
Oh, cool.
Music producers, DJs.
Because you got involved somewhere along the lines with Lupe Fiasco, right? Yeah. Famous rapper. And that's how you that's how the Grammy nomination thing was, because you were involved in his album.
He was actually the first one that kind of recognized the brand.
Yeah, so how did that happen? Did you reach out to him? Did he reach out to you? Or?
So back in the day, it was like forums, right? So everybody's on like Nike Talk forums and stuff like that. And we had a following that were like, this is cool guys in Asia, Singapore, hand making t-shirts, still streaming them and all this distressing stuff. And he was like, he just literally hit me up.
Yep.
He just, I think we had a website.
Oh, you write a letter to you, or what?
Yes, he wrote an email.
Email, okay.
He just wrote an email. It's like, yo, I'm Lupe. And I kind of already knew of him because it was him. And I think it was like Pharrell and a bunch of guys, but he's already connecting. Pharrell was already a name, but he was part of Pharrell's crew. So you knew this guy is up and coming.
Yeah. And
he was one of the guys in the sneaker culture scene, right, where people were going like, hey, they're looking towards him for what's the next fashion look like, next step, right? So I was like, oh shit, this is
the real deal, right?
So I just responded to him, hey, yo, bro, I'm going to give you whatever you want. Super exclusive stuff. And by the way, I was like, should I trade this? I said, by the way, there's a trade show 2 weeks from now in Singapore that we're going to have. I would love for you to come over. He replies the next day, I'm gonna get on a plane to be there.
Oh wow!
That's when it just like boom.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, is he really coming?
That's the original viral sort of
Yes.
viral.
And that's when he was. A lot of people that are Lupe Fiasco fans have the stories of him back in the day when where they were like, do you guys don't even know that Lupe knew of like Singapore street culture even before he blew up.
This is like Far East Plaza sort of days where everyone was. That's where all the cool kids used to hang out outside of McDonald's.
I had two small retail stores there when Lupe came in. So
yep. It's kind of, wow. And then so you got involved.
Yeah. And then I guess his music, right? So then somehow you got involved in music too. Is it a friendship or is it?
It's how do I call it? The best way I could describe it is like crossings. You know what I mean? A lot of these things I do, I don't really. There's no ambition to get them in.
Yep.
It's just like you open one door, and happenstance.
Sliding doors, the whole movie.
He didn't even know I was making music.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I was making music and also, but he was like, the music I don't think was resonating. Yeah. I personally didn't think it was resonating with someone Lupe Fiasco. I was making like this weird electronic mashup.
Yep.
Broken beat shit, right? Back in the day. And one day he was just in the house.
So just hanging, he was just chilling out with Lupe Fiasco.
He's in my house. He stayed there, the whole time. Whenever he comes to Singapore, he'll be either in my house or at the hotel.
Yeah.
And he sees this CD that I have, and I was super embarrassed because I didn't want him to hear the CD.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yo, bro, what's this? I said, something I put together like 2-3 years ago. I said, then let's throw it on, let me hear. Then I threw it on and I was like, well, shit, he's gonna pretend he likes it, but actually it sucks.
Yeah.
No, he's like, no, it's like this bopping. It says like, yo, this like rapping in his mind and shit.
Yeah, I think the really good rappers can get any beat and just put lyrics to it.
He was just like freestyling in his head. It's like,
he's like, yo, bro, this shit's pretty cool, man. Why don't you do something for me? Like, let's put together a beat and let me just sing out. And then I was like,
then I was like, oh shit, and this is it. And it was just super weird because he just got off on back in the day he had ICQ.
Yes.
So he just got off on a conversation off ICQ in my house with Edison Chen.
Nice.
Edison Chen blew up. So it's like, it's all like I'm just saying that like, fuck, I'm the most insignificant thing here, and all these things are resonating around me, and I was just honored to try to make a beat for him.
Yep.
And that's where I just like put my head down and kind of like cycling and training now, right? You want to get good results in the race.
Yeah.
You got to do the shit.
So the national champs are coming up. You need your A game has to be on that day, right? So the same sort of thing, right?
So you did all the sacrifices. So I did this. I did all of that. I made all the sacrifices. Put the beats together. Gave him I think 6 beats. I think he selected 2 of them. He put 1 on the album.
Nice.
And that opened up, actually, I don't know if you know, but I used to be in a band with him as well.
Okay.
Called Japanese Cartoon.
Okay.
So this
doesn't exist anymore, I was
no, not anymore. But it did. One of the tracks was in what's that? The vampire show, Breaking Dawn, or
yeah, I think so.
That one,
the one where there's the wolves and the vampires, or
and then you have this girl, the guy. So we had a song in there. But basically, it was from that moment where we worked on music, worked on fashion. I had a number of, I think 3 brands with him as well. So he was co-founders with me. Yeah.
That's so interesting because you don't normally hear these stories from coming out of Singapore, right?
It's kind of weird, yeah. I think when we were doing it in Singapore, not many people even knew we were doing it in Singapore.
Yeah, because it might not have even been big in Singapore, right? But it was bigger elsewhere.
It's big in the culture.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't know about that particular history. So even when we were doing it here.
So it's funny because like we could do the whole podcast just talking about that, right? But now we have a pet, not pet, like a animal sort of ecosystem,
like a pet brand,
right?
We would call it like a pet brand.
What happened? You just one day just close that door and transition and do. If you think of these as little islands of your life, one day there must have been a bridge between the two, and then the bridge sort of you left that island and you went to a new island.
It's kind of weird. So I'm 44 now, and which is weird. Only the past 3 months I kind of figured out who I've been. And I've been, I kind of figured out, like, I have this whole spiritual side of me, which is super weird as well.
Yeah.
And I figured out that I've just been this guy that's just been running after my passion.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, I love this shit. I'm just gonna go.
So whatever your passion is this time, you are going into it 110%.
And for some reason, it's my passion at this time, but it's also been with me for my whole life. Like I've always loved animals, like ridiculously loved. I have this weird story which I don't think if I've said it publicly, but it's like back in the day, my parents didn't want to give me a dog, and I was like,
I'm in that stage right now. My kids want to talk. Because we're finally in the,
listen to this thing.
Yeah, we're finally in the place where we've got a front door and a back door, so the dog is, you don't have to go down the lift, so it's good. But we haven't caved yet. Okay, continue.
Trust me, that's gonna be a whole can of worms.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I basically, how old was I? I think I was 9. I was like, oh, my dad doesn't want to give me a dog. They're not gonna give me a dog. I was like, yeah. So I took a piece of paper and drew the dog. And I made a deal with Satan.
I said, as a 9-year-old.
Give me the dog, and I'll give you a part of my soul. Not my whole soul, just a part.
That's right. Forever. Okay.
So I've always loved, really, really.
Did you get the dog? No. Okay, thank God.
He's like, no, I want your whole soul. I said, nah, that's not a good deal, man. I didn't get it.
You wouldn't be here today, or you might.
Now I have like lots of dogs. Like, I really love dogs. I got like 4 dogs, 5 dogs at home. I have a cat. I have fishes and all this stuff. Yeah. I'm like a mini. I have like a mini zoo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I always have been going after my passion. And right now in my life, when I started the brand Hello Human,
yes,
it was about 7 years ago now.
Yeah, I saw it. You've got like 40,000 followers or something. Oh,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's doing well. Yeah, 46,000 followers.
Got a pretty good engagement.
Yeah.
I mean, we sell ourselves as the future of pets in Singapore, because actually when we started, so me and my partner Charlene, my better half, when we started this, we actually were looking for a dog. We were like, yo, let's go check out some place for dogs. And it was horrendous.
Oh, it's like a crapshoot.
Bad. It was like, oh my God, this is like, do they have laws for these type of things? Like,
it's unregulated, right?
Back then it wasn't, yeah.
Oh, it's not, it is regulated now?
Now there's a lot more regulation.
Okay.
So we said to ourselves, I think we could do this. Why don't we figure out a way to do this? Because there are going to be couples that want to find animals the way we want to find animals. And we don't want them to find animals in these...
Well, it's like... Let's just say it takes you 2 years of researching and finding all that stuff. If you just compile it and make it into a manual and put it out as a consistent thing, and you for step 1, step 2, step 3, people are gonna love that, right? And this is, I guess, that's how you did it, right?
It's kind of like what we decided to, like, instead of
you're like a trusted source that people can go to for anything pet related.
Something like that, yeah. So we took it another step further where we like, okay, let's not just criticize this.
Yeah.
Let's put our mouth where...
Do it better.
Yeah, right. Let's launch a space. Let's do all the processes and protocols that we want to have for these animals, and let's see how it goes. And we stepped into the industry and we did that. And in a period of, like, I think the first 3-4 years, what happened was all the competition had to match the processes and protocols.
That's a good thing, right?
And if they couldn't, right, they'll step out. Right?
It'll be like Nokia and BlackBerry. This get.
And for us, it was we really wanted to clean up that space, because back in the day, right, I not many people know, but all the where you would get puppies and dogs, so that was in Pasir Ris Pet Farm. They call it Pasir Ris Pet Farm, and they closed the whole thing down.
So dodgy.
That's really bad. Yeah. Apparently, it was run mostly by like secret societies.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Washing money and building that, but if literally you go there and you would see these guys in
like tattoos, no t-shirts on, and then if you waste their time on, they'll kind of tell you off like, don't waste my time, lah, bro. You come here, this that thing. And we were like, hey, this is, you got kids there. Right? This
you're
some
ACS boy that walks in there and suddenly you're gonna be like, what world is this?
Yeah, but it's super weird, and people were accepting that for a very long time. There was a decade that they were that.
Okay.
And then the government came in. It got pretty bad. I think some news came out. Dogs were dying. They were illegally breeding, and I think maybe there was something to do with like owners getting. I'm not sure what it was. But the government came in, literally cleaned everything out. They pushed all the
businesses out and said, if you want to start this particular puppy business, you have to do it
beside our regulator, AVS. So basically now in Singapore, when you're doing this at that level, like say you're breeding and all that, the main space is, I can't remember where it is, but Sungai Buloh, if I'm not wrong, and it's right beside the AVS.
Okay.
So they are there to, if anything, they're checking every day.
Oh, cool. Wow, man. So this podcast is about endurance athletes, and we haven't talked about that at all yet, right? So,
no, if you see all the crazy stuff I do, cycling keeps me sane.
Yeah, that's what I was about. So where in this journey did cycling come in? Were you was it when you were back, you used to ride to school and you're a fixie kid, or was it like a late thing, or
okay?
Is it evolution of BMX? What?
I mean, back in the day, I used to skate. When I stopped that, then I got into my whole world with like the music, fashion. I spent a lot of time doing that, and I would say towards the end of that, that's where I kind of went into cycling. So my first bike was like a full-on fixed gear bike. Okay. Like I think it was a Sinelli something.
So I think with skateboarding, because I used to skateboard as well, right? Even if you give it up, the whole culture sort of stays with you.
It stays,
right?
With you.
And if you jump on a skateboard now, you can still do it. You're probably a bit wobbly, but you can still do it. But the whole culture, it stays with you. So it's a sort of natural progression. Even if there's a gap of 10 years between your skateboarding and your fixie, right? It's the fixie culture is actually quite similar to the skateboarding.
Super similar. And I think maybe that's what I got attracted to in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, your simple bike, it's like kind of like a skateboard. It's just two wheels, one crank, one chain, no gears,
not much can go wrong with it.
No brakes, right?
Yep.
And you figure out how to do all these stoppies and shit with your bike. How do you, but I got into it quite late. I think I was 29 or 30 when I got into cycling.
Okay.
And it's kind of, I got into it. I mean, the culture is one thing, but I think I got into it more for health. Because
so back in the day when you drop out of school, you're working in fashion, you work in hip hop, you unhealthy lifestyle. I'm about to say, right?
Yes, unhealthy.
Drinking, maybe even smoking or what, right? And not exercising because it's late nights and
no. So it's weird. All of that, and I was exercising.
Oh, you were?
But I was doing like this is the early days before like UFC became popular. So I was training my own MMA. So I had like, dummies and I was punching shit and I was doing pull-ups.
Good for.
So if you look at me now, like I haven't worked up my upper body at all. I can't get it small. I'm trying to get it smaller because you need it for cycling.
Time travel.
And I just can't. It's fixed since I was young. So
yeah. Okay. So fixies, and then fixies became road bikes, I guess.
Yeah. But quickly it became road bikes actually.
Because I think like I was looking back on I was just thinking back on if I've ever met, because I only met you an hour ago, right? I was thinking about the first time I ever met you. I didn't. There was a time at when Dr. Seong was being inaugurated, or he was the secretary, and there was a SCF general meeting, and I remember sitting behind someone, and it must have been you, right? I was sitting behind someone with a really heavily tattooed head and with a cycling cap on, and I'm like, this guy doesn't look like a typical cyclist, right? Were you involved in the SCF back then, or because you're a team member, right? But were you involved in the SCF as well?
Yes. So I was in the NTS.
Yep.
The first,
which is National Training Squad, right?
The inauguration for that. Then I was also given the road VP responsibilities in those times.
Which is the person involved in all the road cycling for Singapore, right? Okay.
For a very short period of time.
Okay, so that's probably why you were at that same meeting that I was at.
Probably, and I think if I can remember, I'm the only guy with a crazy forehead tattoo. It's like
tattoos is something, but like a tattoo on your head is something else, right? The tattoo on your head, is it like tribal? Is it like tribal?
It's Maori.
Yeah, I was about to say Maori.
Tribal, take a look.
No, I've seen it before. So yeah.
So when did you get that actually done?
When I was 30. Okay, so that was the same time, the same time. Okay.
So then you started riding, and then you were like, oh wow, there's another whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, another whole rabbit hole with lots of talent here. Yeah, and I love talent.
Mm-hmm. So you just once you got your road bike, and then you got to group ride, and you go, holy shit, this is like a healthy obsession.
Healthy, yeah. At first I thought it was a shit. I was like, yo, I'm pretty cool on the fixed bike. I can smash people on the fixed bike. Oh, okay. Oh, I got a road bike now.
Everyone's cool in the neighborhood.
Small little groups and like, okay, I'm smashing people.
Yeah.
Then you go with the big boys.
Yeah.
And that's when you get humbled, right? Yeah. That's when you realize, okay, am I going to do this? Or am I not going to do this?
Yeah, and then like these guys are training 10, 15 hours a week, riding every single day.
And then you realize that, oh shit, this is serious stuff.
Yeah.
You want to get to that level, there's certain component of you're born with it, but you still have to have that base. Mm-hmm. And that base is a lot of sacrifice. Huge sacrifice.
How much were you riding then, and how much do you ride now?
Wow. So like fixie was just like, play maybe 30 minutes a day for fun.
Or getting to and from, getting to and from places.
Get a sweat in. No proper training plan. Then when I got into road bike riding, it was more like every group ride, red line.
Yeah.
Every group ride, you just red line and you feel like, I'm going to get really strong doing this. And then I got myself to a hole because I did that for so long and I got this thing called, it's like fatigue, long-term fatigue.
Oh, like chronic fatigue syndrome.
Something like that, yeah. And your body just cannot, and you have to stop, or you're probably gonna get.
Oh, it's like overtraining. You could have been overtraining.
Yeah, and it was just going to all the group rides and doing red line every.
It sounds like typical overtraining. You just push your body too hard, and then it just rejects it.
And only recently, maybe in the past 2 years, 1.5 to 2 years, have I been doing structured training. So.
Okay. So back then it was just like really just go out and ride it and hammer every single ride.
Let's try a race.
So even when you're in the national training squad, you were sort of doing that.
So it's kind of weird with the natural training squad back in the day.
Yep. Which is like 2014-ish, right? 2016.
7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
There wasn't, at least from what I remember, what I was doing, like a structured training that you have like right now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. It was still structured, but not. We didn't have the plans that we used to follow. We had days where, we go do this, go do that.
Long ride, let's ride hills or something. But it's not like you're tracking your TSS, you're not tracking your CTL.
No, it's scientific and it's like down to your heart and everything and you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for about...
So how fast was your progression? Fixie to road bike to national training squad?
Fixie to road bike, probably 3 years.
Okay.
3 years to national training squad, probably 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, and that national training squad was roughly 2016, 17, 18, around there, right? And then you realize, oh shit, this is the real deal.
I was like, oh, wow, really want to represent Singapore.
Yep.
Let's go to the SEA Games.
Yep.
They had this thing, right, when we first started at the ITS, I put like, you give your kind of like, how do I put this? Write down what your goals are.
The ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate goal. And I was like, we did the gold medal. I think I might be the only guy who written that.
Nice.
Because I was so delusional in the sense of, but at the same time, I really wanted to like kind of push myself because I was one of the 2 oldest guys.
Already.
Yes, because I was already 34, 35, around there, yeah. And in there with like 19-year-old boys who are also fit and really good.
Yep.
And I knew this like my last chance. Let's just try it out. And then it was also a journey just to get there. So if you have the opportunity, why not just?
Yeah. And the funny thing is about Singapore cycling is like, you might be the big guy on campus in Singapore, right? The hot shot. But then you go to the SEA Games, and then the Thai riders and Filipino riders, and they're just
different.
Yeah,
they're just different,
because they're like smashing out hills every single day in Chiang Mai or whatever, right? And
that's all they do.
Yeah, and here we are doing Mandai loops and Kranji loops, and
we keep having a lot of shit. Well, man.
So then, ever since then, you've stayed. Cycling has sort of been the constant in your life, right?
Yeah. I stopped for a short period of time, just get my life back on track and stuff like that. I started working and stuff. First corporate job.
Yep.
But then, I mean, it's like a calling. I feel I'll do this till I'm really old. It's something you can do till you're really old. Right? You can't really do running. Could do swimming and cycling, but
when your joints start to give out and stuff. So Fixie, I guess there's no club, right? There's just a bunch of mates.
No.
And then road cycling, did you have an evolution of groups and teams and stuff? Or like, how did you wave your way through? Because right now you...
I see the RS red team, which is Boone, Willie, and Alvin.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then me.
So there's only four of you right now, right?
And Fantastic 3 plus 1.
And so the TTT, which is coming up in September, is it going to be E4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you get from, so Fixie to road bikes? With road bikes, now you realize, oh shit, this is a real deal. You joined a team. What was your first team?
I didn't really have a first team. It's a group called Cycle Xiao back in the day, and very well known in the east side. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the early, you could say the east side version of like Crazies or Hammer Ride was done by this team.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I started with them, and that's where I really met a lot of Singapore cycling talent.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys there eventually went on to represent Singapore.
Okay.
And so when you were there with the monsters you were seeing, and that's where you kind of get you understand.
So most of the people riding there are Singaporeans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool because
Majority actually, all of them.
because a lot of there are notoriously white expat teams out there, right?
Yeah.
And it's good that there are other Singapore teams that are strong as well, right?
Yeah. I think the next real official team was CTCC, so cycle.
Okay. Yeah. Was that the time when Boon was still there?
Boon just left
Okay.
when I joined, probably 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's it's like CTCC and all these other teams, they have their evolution and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably in version 2
Mm-hmm.
of CTCC when I joined. So I was with them for about a year.
Yep.
Did a couple of races and stuff like that. Super cool team. And I just moved on from there
Yep.
to another team called TWC, Team West Coast Racing.
Yep.
That we kind of like, what did it?
That's another really cool local team. It's not so big anymore as well, right?
No.
At one stage they were pretty big.
Pretty big team. Now, I think there's only one rider that's supported with them. It's a mountain bike rider.
Okay.
Cool guy called
Yep.
Luke. Then, from TWC, I was in, about a year in as well.
Yep.
Started looking for a new team. I was out with the Mavs for a while, training with them for quite a bit, half a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity with RS came up. And
Yep.
I feel blessed because there's so much to learn when you're
Yeah.
with these guys.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You know, Willie, Boone. There's so many things you can, not just fitness wise, but a lot strategy.
Yeah, because Boone used to ride the NTS in Australia, right? And then Willie's done quite a lot of local racing. How did that happen? How did you, like, it's only 4 of you. How are you one of the lucky 4?
I know my whole life, but
Fantastic Four.
Things come out like that way, you know. So I do this every Sunday. I do go to Crazies, and do the crazy rides,
Okay.
the Mavs and all that. And Boone's there quite a bit.
Yep.
And you get close to these guys. It's almost like we're in different teams, but we're all one big family. Right? We call it church,
Yeah.
and that's where all these things start to come about.
Okay.
Yeah, and you kind of get closer to certain individuals with the same mindset.
Yeah.
Guys, it's just nice energy.
Yeah.
Guys, and they roll up. And I think that's what makes a good team.
Yeah, because you got to rely on them, right? And like this is the TCC, for example, right? You all need to. It's not a exercise contest for the fastest riders that'll win. All 4 of you, or the fastest 3 or whatever it's going to be. You have the team. So no use the first 2 breaking off because leading you to supper. And if you don't have the chemistry, you need the chemistry before that really the team together, right?
And then so far so good with him, right? It's been a few months.
I love RS team is not just the 4 of us. Then you have the founders as well behind, like Roger and Stanley, and the whole thing that comes with Factor and stuff like that. The support is amazing.
Yep.
And more importantly, the energy and the positivity that the whole team and the company brings.
Yep.
It's something new, something very new.
So it's got a good foundation. You can
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Just vibing and just having fun and
And so immediate goal is the TTT, I guess, with those guys.
Yeah, September 1st, we're about 1 week plus away.
What you've been doing quite a lot of virtual racing as well. Like I tried to get you last week in Star. I can't come in because I'm gonna be here doing this race, and then how about Thursday? Oh no, I'm doing here. I'm at Virtual Cycling SG. I'm going to do this race. I'm at Foundry HQ doing this race. Okay, just tell me when you can come. So you're doing the virtual racing. How do you like that compared to outdoors?
I mean, it's cool. It's a completely different aspect of cycling. Like you can't use as much of the strategy you use on the road.
Yeah. So I'm a complete noob to virtual racing, right? Do you have to weigh yourself at the beginning of every single race and say, okay,
legit races,
so you walk in, it's like a weigh-in for boxing weigh-in. Okay, I'm 65 kilos.
Your height and everything.
Oh, wow. So height. Oh.
Because your height also defines your air, wind resistance and shit like that.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's kind of cool. So
it's like pretty legit.
So then you go in and then they plug in your stats and then you're off.
And then you're off. You get a bit of warm up.
Yep.
You have the timing that counts down, 3 minutes in, 5 minutes in, and then you just go. But it's for anybody that's done road racing and then go and do Zwift racing, you see it's very, very different.
I'm sure.
It's 2 different worlds.
Yep.
You could have someone that smashes it like crazy on road. They go to Zwift and they just get destroyed.
Yeah.
Because someone on Zwift, they just smashes on Zwift, but they go to road race and they just get destroyed.
Well, if you got... Let's just say you're a really bad bike handler and you're only 50 kilos and you got 200 watt FTP, right?
You will dominate.
Yeah, you do really well.
And you have a few guys who have this they're just, like the Walk on Art, this both.
Yeah, because I guess it's like any computer game, right? There's certain things.
Gaming.
Yeah, there's certain things.
Aspects,
I think SCF is really pushing that to get the youth involved in cycling.
Their plans, if I'm not wrong, is you got the SEA Games coming up, 2028,
2029.
2029 Singapore. And this Zwift esports road thing is going to be part of it.
It's definitely going to be part of it.
This one,
Zwift racing will be there, and that'll be cool because then we'll be ready.
Yeah, and they want to identify the talents right now.
Yep. Okay, so what next for you? What are you? What's your plans for cycling? And you want to do this for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, till I die.
Seriously?
Yeah. It's I mean,
this is the one constant in your life right now.
It really is. I mean, health is so important. To me, I have this health is the best wealth. You can have all the wealth in the world if you don't have your health, doesn't matter.
So you're gonna be that 75-year-old uncle that's just the hard as nails, pushing the front of the group ride.
Probably.
Nice.
Yes, probably. I remember this. The world. Did you see this? The World Championships. You know they have the World Championships, right? And there's this one guy. I think he was 80 years old, and he won for his age group.
Yep.
The world champ. He's the world champion for 80 years old.
Yeah.
And he said he's been trying to do that for his whole life.
Yeah. Wow. Finally got it.
Finally got it. If you stick around long enough, you win everything.
People slow down. Or you get these sort of guys who are as tough as nails who stick with it, and all the couch potatoes sort of fall away, and then they're distilled into these last six people. Okay, man. This has been great. How do people get a hold of you? Just Instagram would be the best way to get a hold of you if they want to reach out.
Yeah. DM me on Instagram.
Le Messie, right? LE_MESSIE.
Yeah.
Is that the best way? Cool, man.
Sir.
It's been great.
Awesome.
I think about 5 minutes talking about cycling and about 45 cycling. That's great. I love it.
We can always do it again, man.
Yeah, okay, let's do it after the TTT. Okay. Thank you so much for coming in.
My brother.
Yeah. I'll talk to you again soon, okay?